Okay, so Connor had a good idea. They just give you a bag full of nails, and then obviously it's packed in styrofoam. So every time you're going to reach for a nail, you're never able to get it when it just falls out of your hands. So we just decided the first big tip is to put all these nails and just stick them in the styrofoam quick. That way when you're going to start nailing the back on, you just grab one easily, no big deal. We are going to try to put this together. It's just a bookcase, but we're going to use it for a closet. Show you kind of some tricks on how we put it together. Alright, so the first thing we do is set all the like pieces together so that when you're putting it together you can just grab one. And on the edges they have stamped which ones they are. So this is an A and a C and etc. So these are the parts we have, and we'll follow the instructions that they give us. So here's the package of hardware it came with. We're just going to take all that out, and then we're going to start to assemble it just how they show us in the instructions. So we set the dowels in. One trick I've learned is not to use a hammer on them, just push them in, and then the screws will actually tighten it down. Otherwise they'll mushroom over and it'll make everything real hard. So just start the screws just with your hands, and then I use a DeWalt to drive them in. So we just started a little bit, make sure everything's lined up properly, and then make sure the finished edges are on the top. So that way, that'll be the part you see. Otherwise, there's a rough edge that doesn't look as nice as the finished edge. So make sure the finished edges are always out. So start the screws first. Make sure they're both lined up, and then you can drive them right in. Okay, bud. So we have the 3 shelves in, just push them in by hand, and then on the back side you just need a screw to pull them in tight. Alright, so when we tighten down these screws, this is just particle board, so we got to be real careful not to have them too tight. So we just tighten them up just enough so they're snug, and then there's no gap between the side and the new shelf that we just put on. So alright, now we're setting the dowels up, and we make sure we line them up nice, and then we make sure we're straight up and down when we push them on. That way there's no breaking the dowels off.
So we got this part done, and we just need to put the back on.
Okay, so Connor had a good idea. They just give you a bag full of nails, and then obviously it's packed in styrofoam. So every time you're going to reach for a nail, you're never able to get it when it just falls out of your hands. So we just decided the first big tip is to put all these nails and just stick them in the styrofoam quick. That way when you're going to start nailing the back on, you just grab one easily, no big deal. Putting the back on is probably the worst job of the whole thing, just because there's so many nails that have to go into them, and that provides a lot of the strength for the bookcase or the dresser or whatever you bought. So entertainment center, all sorts of different options you can get from Walmart or from Target, or in our case we got this from some of the pieces of furniture. They'll have like one big back piece that goes on them, but this one is just some flimsy, almost cardboard, and in this case we just go on every other one, so it's going to be diagonal, and that's how this case is put together. And then there's little pre-drilled holes that go into each one, and that's where all the nails go. Alright, so one trick we learned, instead of trying to hold the nail with your hand and then pound on it and hurt your finger, is to just put them in a pair of pliers. Like we have a pair of needle nose pliers here, but regular pliers would work. And always start from one side and work your way around. That way you get everything flat. Otherwise you'll put a crease in there, and then it'll never be quite flat. So you just find the next hole and use the pliers and pound it right in, just like that. Grab the One other tip, when you're getting towards the edge, so instead of nailing it like this in, make sure you run the nail slightly out, not too far that it's going to pop out the side, but slightly out so that it gets into the wood and doesn't just go on the inside and chip it. Done, and the backs are on. You can see every other one is diagonal. So now it's completed.